What's up guys, welcome back to the MMA Oracle. We didn't do too bad last week. Out of the 14 total fights, we got 12 picks right. I placed 2 parlays. The first parlay was a winner, but the second just missed. I needed Alexander Rakic to finish Tybura in the distance. He couldn't do it somehow. He put on a horrible performance. Lazy, drawn out, lackluster. I think it's safe to say he won't be a problem at heavyweight, that's for sure. Anyway, let's start with the first fight of the night. Gigi Canuto versus Carol Foro. Carol Foro is a serious striker. She has some power in her hands. She's coming off a win against Chanel Dyer on The Ultimate Fighter. Chanel Dyer is no joke. She is a good striker, and Foro was putting hands on her. She had Dyer wobbled in a few moments, and she even nearly knocked her out. It was a banger of a fight, and it showed that Foro is UFC material. Gigi Canuto, on the other hand, was also on The Ultimate Fighter. She made it to the semi-finals and lost to Melissa Amaya. She put on a decent performance. Canuto is a grappler. She's a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Average striking, but her skills lie on the mat. She is very good in transitions. She has a nasty armbar that she's gotten quite a few times. She's quick on the mat, and she's got great takedowns. In that fight, Canuto looked amazing in round 1. She secured her takedown. She transitioned to an armbar. I don't know how her opponent didn't tap. I thought for sure the arm was broken. It was so deep you could see the arm was bending and flexing in the way it shouldn't be. I think she just got unlucky because Melissa Amaya is just a freak of nature and double jointed or something. At the end of the first round, again she got her into another armbar, deep, secured it, and she still didn't tap. So she was all over in the first round. Grappling, takedowns, 2 deep submissions. Second round starts. Canuto can barely get off the stool. Hands are down. She's flat-footed, just walking towards her opponent. Can't shoot. Her cardio has completely disappeared. She gets jabbed, doesn't even get hurt, but more of she's just so exhausted she can no longer stand. Falls down, curls up into a ball, pillow punches to the head. She just gave up. She didn't have the cardio to carry into round 2, and she got finished. She's going up against a killer in Foro here. And Foro is just a straight striker. She's going to have trouble with Canuto and her takedowns and her pressure here, looking for the takedown. But if she can survive the first round, Foro is going to take Canuto out of there. Canuto is not comfortable on the feet. She has no cardio, and if she goes for the takedown and doesn't get it, she doesn't know what to do and gives up. Lack of cardio, lack of discipline. I can't pick fighters like that who just give up on themselves in the ring. I really like Foro here. I really like her striking. I think she'll go far in this division. I could see Canuto coming in here, getting the takedown in the first round and finding that submission armbar. She's very fast in the transitions and the speed and the quickness on the floor. Foro will not be ready for that. But if Foro can just stuff the takedown, maybe land some damage before Canuto can get that takedown in, and she might be able to just survive that first initial explosion from Canuto, because after that she has no cardio and Foro will walk over her. So I'm going to pick Foro to win here, but my official pick is the fight to not go the distance. I think Foro can find a KO here easily against Canuto, but the same could be said for Canuto finding submission against Foro, maybe in the first round. Final pick, I think the fight will end in the distance just to be safe, but if I had to choose, I will say Carol Foro wins by knockout. Next fight of the night, Juliana Miller versus Ravina Oliveira. Oliveira is on a 3-fight losing streak, and this is going to make it to 4th. Juliana will win this with her pressure and her grappling. Oliveira might edge her in the striking, but Miller is slick on the floor and doesn't stop with the takedowns. I really think Oliveira is going to struggle here. Give me Miller by submission or decision. On to the next one, Miles Johns versus Jesse Rosas. Jesse Rosas is debuting here. I watched some of his tape. Nothing special in my opinion. He throws a clean jab, but he gets a bit frantic when he gets in close. Gets a bit sloppy. He kind of just throws blindly in the pocket. I think he's a relation of Rosas Jr. because in his last fight I saw him in his corner. So you would think that he'd have some bit of a ground game. but from what I saw, he's only been controlled on the ground. And his record has been padded. He has fought absolute nobodies. Miles Johns is coming off a 3-fight losing streak, but to be fair, that was against some good competition. Miles Johns has decent striking and wrestling. He's experienced. He's fought multiple types of fighters. He's come up against different styles. He has way more tools in his bag of tricks. He's going to be the better striker here. And if he does wrestle with Rosas here, which I think he will, which he usually does, I think he'll be able to manhandle Rosas. Rosas has not been tested at all. And he's coming up against a bit of a crafty veteran in Miles Johns. I think Miles Johns is too big of a step for Rosas here. Rosas looked very stiff on the mat in his tape. Miles Johns is a decent wrestler and has good scrambles. He's got decent hands too, and I think he'll put it on Rosas. Give me Miles Johns to win this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he finished him. Manuel Souza versus Richie Miranda. Manuel Souza is going to be the stronger striker here. He's a beast. He has heavy hands and throws in a lot of feints. Usually catches his opponents off guard. Miranda is debuting here, fighting out of the LFA. I watched back some of his fights. He's pretty good. He's a rangy fighter, throws a lot of volume. He's got great cardio. He's used to 5-rounders. A good couple 5-round fights in the LFA. He has a good chin. He's eaten some heavy shots. That being said, I think Manuel Souza is going to be too strong for him here. Miranda might beat him in the speed just about, but we'll see. I'm not sure. I think Miranda is slightly faster. He's more of a counter puncher though. But Souza definitely has the power advantage. And he likes to draw out the counter with his feints. Souza has very underrated ground game though. If he's having trouble landing some of his shots or he starts slowing down, I don't think he'll have trouble taking Miranda to the mat. I think here with Miranda being used to kind of 5-round fights, a lot of volume, he kind of builds throughout the fight. I think he's going to let Souza take over here. Souza has unreal power in his hands, but I don't think he'll knock out Miranda here. I think Miranda's smart. He's an intelligent fighter. He wears the damage really well. I think Souza will control him on the floor here when he wants to, and maybe find a submission, if not drag it out to 3 rounds and win a easy decision. Manuel Souza is the pick. On to the next one. Louis Sutherland versus Jose Montaña. Jose Montaña is another fighter debuting and he's getting fed to the vanilla gorilla Louis Sutherland here. Jose looks green on the feet. He's lacking a lot of experience. Most of his fights are mainly him fighting part-timers who don't know how to defend themselves. He's a bit of a grapple merchant because his striking is so bad. His only loss on his record is to a guy called Richard Jacoby, and in that fight Jose was dropped twice. It was not a good look. It showed he's a bit chinny. That same Richard Jacoby made it onto the Contender Series where he was knocked spark out unconscious by Austin Lane in the first round. The Austin Lane. Yeah, if you're getting dropped twice by a guy who got knocked out in the first round by Austin Lane, I'm not picking you. Louis Sutherland all day here. I think he will knock out Jose Montaña in the first or second round. Hopefully it's not a showing like last time against Tai Tuivasa, where he just sat on the floor for all 15 minutes. But that's what Jose is going to want to do here. He's going to look to grapple because he is not comfortable on the feet whatsoever. He has no chin, and now he's fighting Louis Sutherland in his debut. Sutherland's yet to get a knockout in his UFC career. This is his 4th fight. I think he'll find it here. Give me Sutherland by KO, round 1 or 2. Moving on, Dr. Nurgajai versus Bruno Lopez. Nurgajai is coming off his first win in the UFC against Rafael Tobias. I think he got actually extremely lucky in that fight that his opponent had 0 cardio. He got clipped a couple of times. His grappling looks to have holes in it. He was taken down quite easily in the 2nd and 3rd round when his opponent was absolutely exhausted. His first 2 fights in the organisation he lost by submission. He was a bit chinny in those fights too, and he tapped quite easily. Bruno Lopez has been knocked out in his last 2. He's a bit of a 1-round fighter. He has no cardio going into round 2. He clinches a lot, throws lazy strikes. I don't think he's UFC material. He's shown these flaws in his Contender Series match, his debut, and every fight since. He's shown no growth at all. He'll only tire here as the fight goes on. He'll look to clinch to avoid strikes. Nurgajai's grappling isn't good, but I think he has enough to control Lopez in those instances. In the clinch, when Lopez is trying to push him up against the cage, I think he's better on the feet. and has better cardio. This could be a good fight. Nurgajai could come out here and sleep him, or it could be a boring 3-round hugfest of pressing against the cage and Nurgajai winning on points. So I'm going to take Nurgajai here by KO or decision, and Bruno Lopez on his way to getting cut from the UFC. Last fight of the prelims, Stephen Aspelin versus Guilherme Pat. Pat is a fast counter puncher, a bit too hesitant though. He's got a great jab that he's going to stick Aspelin with a few times, and he's got some nice leg kicks. All the tools you need to stuff the pressure and volume of Stephen Aspelin. Aspelin struggled in his last fight with Petrino for those reasons. He couldn't deal with the speed and was reaching with his punches, he was leaning, and that's dangerous in a good counterpuncher like Guilherme Pat. Pat likes to hold his head a little too high though, and he always moves back in a straight line whenever he's pressured. He leaves himself open for combinations, and with Aspelin that's dangerous. One of those is going to eventually sneak through. Pat is coming off a loss to Aspelin's teammate Thomas Peterson. Guilherme looked very hesitant in that fight, and he was dropped at one instance in the first round. Yeah, I don't know. Pat has the tools here to beat Aspelin if he stuck to a game plan and wasn't so hesitant. If he let go a bit more with the hands. My brain is saying Pat in this fight, but my gut is saying Aspelin. Either Pat peppers him with the jab and peppers him with the leg kicks and maybe finds a few heavy counters when Aspelin starts slowing down. He starts reaching. But Aspelin has a crazy chin and good cardio for such a big guy. I think they both have a way to win here, but I'm going to go with my gut and take the man that wants it more. Aspelin doesn't have the cleanest striking, but he mixes it up. He has nice elbows, and above all it's his output, his awkward striking, his pressure that overwhelms his opponents, that I think is the key to winning him this fight. I think Aspelin gets a knockout here. Pat just hasn't shown me enough to pick him here. I think he's going to be overwhelmed by Aspelin. Next fight, Billy Ray Goff versus Ty Miller. Billy Ray Goff in a 2-fight losing streak, and I think this will make it the third. His striking isn't too bad. He just eats a lot of shots. He gets it dropped a lot in his fights, and he's coming up against a former Golden Gloves champion in Ty Miller. Miller has crisp, clean striking, good takedown defense, and he's tough with good cardio. On top of that, he has a decent height and reach advantage here too. I think Miller is going to touch him up here throughout the fight. Billy Ray Goff is not going to be able to deal with the striking of Miller. Miller is going to piece him up throughout this fight, and if he finds a shot and lands flush, he will knock him out. Ty Miller is the pick here. Let's move on to the second fight of the main card. Amanda Lemos versus Alex Tainara. Tainara is a grapple merchant. All she does is look for the takedown. Lemos is getting old. She's 39. She's on her way out, and she struggles against these types of fighters. 3 out of her last 4 fights she's lost to pressure grapplers that just like to hold, like Tainara. I think Tainara will bully her here. She's going to look for the takedowns all day. I don't know if she'll find a submission on Lemos. Lemos has decent defense when on the mat, but she needs to work on defending the takedown. I think the younger, hungrier fighter is going to win here. It's going to be a repeat loss for Lemos. Controlled for 3 rounds. I'm not sure if Tainara is going to find a submission, but I'll take a Tainara submission or decision. Next fight, Darren Elkins versus Yadir Delvai. Darren Elkins is just fighting for the money at this stage. He looked horrible in his last fight. He doesn't have the ability to take any damage at the age of 42. Delvai lost his last fight against Jordan Levitt. I think he makes a quick turnaround here and gets back in the winning column. Delvai will have the speed advantage, the strength advantage. He isn't the greatest, but he should be able to finish Elkins here. Elkins is spent. Delvai likes to take it to the ground as well. He likes his ground and pound. He's got a few submissions on his record too. He should roll over Elkins here. I expect him to land a few shots on the feet, take him down, land a few shots on the mat, maybe get a TKO finish, or he'll find the neck. I'm going to pick Delvai by knockout or submission. Diego Ferreira versus Billy Quarantillo. Billy's coming off a 2-year layoff and he's moving up a weight class. He was out due to a bad knee injury. He did not look good in his last fight and looked very stiff on the feet. He's never fought the same level of competition as Diego Ferreira. Diego Ferreira is a vet. He's coming off a bad knockout loss last year against Alexander Hernandez. That fight was on short notice, but he looked a bit slow in that fight. It was not a good look for him, and he was starched. I like that Ferreira has taken a year off here to rest after that bad knockout last. He was in the process of moving closer to his gym during his last fight. Now he's fully moved. That's saving him a daily 9-hour drive back and forth to the gym, which is just crazy. He's closer to his gym. He's taken a year off to recuperate. I think Ferreira has the cleaner striking, the better grappling. They are both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, but I'd give Ferreira the edge in the grappling. Ferreira has so much more experience. He's fought way better caliber of fighter. Quarantillo hasn't fought in 2 years. A year is manageable, but 2 is when the ring rust really starts to accumulate. He's not going to be as sharp, and he wasn't even that sharp to begin with. Coming up to a new weight class, he's not going to be used to the strength difference, power difference in the strikes he has to take. So yeah, I think Diego Ferreira is going to put on a masterclass performance here against Billy Quarantillo. Wouldn't be surprised if he finished him, maybe a submission, but I'm taking Diego Ferreira here to win. Last fight of the night, Mateusz Gamrot versus Keelan Salkield. This is a bad matchup for Gamrot. Gamrot struggles against taller, rangier fighters. He had a close fight with Jalen Turner, and he lost a split decision against Dan Hooker. He doesn't get his takedowns off as much against taller guys, and he doesn't know what to do about the difference in reach. If you watch back his fight with Dan Hooker, he was wobbled quite a few times, and Hooker is the exact same height and reach as Salkield. 6 foot and 75-inch reach. Gamrot isn't that great in the striking. Now he's fighting Salkield, has better grappling and more power than Dan Hooker. Salkield's grappling is actually quite underrated. I wouldn't say it's on the same level as Gamrot, but I think it'll be enough to threaten submissions in certain positions and to not give up the takedown so easily. Gamrot really struggles against the range and sometimes shoots from too far out. Salkield's going to tag him on the feet. He's going to hurt Gamrot. Gamrot could shoot a lazy shot, and then it's up to Salkield. Salkield could jump on his neck, stuff it, finish him on the ground. I think Salkield can choose which way he wants to finish this fight, given he does enough damage to Gamrot, which I think he will. Give me Keelan Salkield by knockout or submission here. That's going to be it, guys. That's the last fight of the card. Good luck this Saturday. Hope to see you back next week for more predictions and breakdowns.